The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
This is Africa Diaspora Connect.
Join us as we take the journey from the motherland to America.
We share our experiences and learn from them.
Here is our host, Kibathi Gaturu.
Hey, Chrissy, it feels like I never left.
I know, buddy. I feel like we've been here.
It feels like I never left.
Another day,
Another
show.
Another day, another show.
What's going on?
Oh, different journeys, man. Different journeys, you know. And if you recall, a few weeks ago, this was actually before you took over, I did a show on the whole thing of, you know, being a teacher, the lens of being a teacher and teaching the diaspora.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And Mrs. Anamon came in and she just hit it out of the park.
Awesome.
A few weeks ago, I think last week we had Alan J. McMillan.
We did have Alan J.
And Alan
what a great
J.
show.
And Alan J. Learn, Earn, Retire. He was all about trajectory, how to nail those 4 years and getting into corporate America and how to do what needs to get done.
Heck yeah.
Oh my God, this week, I'm still on that education mode, as you can tell. And the journey this week is now preparation even before they get to college. And I stumbled across something that's amazing.
What'd you find?
It's a gem in of itself, and it's so easy. It's ABC.
Well, I know my ABC.
You know your alphabet.
I do.
A
What do you mean?
Better chance.
A better chance.
A better chance. And I have a fascinating guest who's going to walk us through this amazing, amazing gem.
All right.
Yes, to my left.
I think we have
To
someone
my
there.
left, I have this amazing lady, Wanjiru. Karibu to the Africa Diaspora Connect.
Asante, thank you.
So it's going to be ADC talking about ABC.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get there, I got to pay some bills because I got to pay bills. You know, my producer here, you know.
You got to get it done, buddy.
Got to get it done. This episode is brought to you by CarePlus Healthcare Staffing, providing nursing solutions to a wide array of facilities ranging from nursing homes, assisted living facilities, hospitals, you name it. A one-stop shop healthcare staffing agency offering vetted healthcare staffing via CNA, LPN, or RNA. They cover Worcester, Middlesex, and the Hampton counties, anywhere around Worcester, Lowell, and Springfield. It's a woman-owned minority business and a registered Chamber of Commerce entity. CNAs, LPNs, RNs, look no further for your staffing needs. CarePlus Healthcare Staffing. You can find their contact details in the descriptions right below. Paying bills. So, ABC, ADC. I'm going to ask you this. Mm-hmm. I've raised two amazing kids, both in college, one graduating this May, another one's a sophomore. I never heard of this program. And I've lived here forever and a day. Why has this been the best kept secret? How did you find about it? Walk me through this ABC and how you're so intrigued. By the way, Sam Thugi, thank you for this guest. Thank you, Sam.
I actually just stumbled upon it, and I got to know about it from a fellow parent. So my daughter was attending South Shore Charter School, which is in Norwell, and one of the parents that we used to couple with, one day just mentioned, just because, we would hang out, we were like the minority parents, so we would drive from Brockton to Norwell to take our kids there. And so we used to couple. Sometimes we'd go for events. And one day she just mentioned it to me. And she said, oh, there's this program I heard about, it's a really good program. And she just mentioned it as a by the way. Okay. And that was it. And so I am very, very intrigued by, education. I love kids. I love working with kids. Mm-hmm. And at that point, my daughter she was in the 7th grade. And so I decided to go and look it up. Okay. Actually, when I got home, I couldn't totally remember what she had said. So I Googled a lot of stuff, and I kept thinking it was an acronym, ABC, whatever it is. And finally, it did come up, and I saw a better chance, and I decided I'm going to just read into it. Okay. And that's just how I came across it. So it was just by chance, but then I got the interest. I looked for all the information, and I went ahead and started the application. And lo and behold, this is where we are today. My daughter is a senior. She's an ABC scholar, a senior. She's going to be going to college in the fall.
Wow, so she's a senior in college now and going to college in the fall.
Yeah, senior in
She's in high school and going to college in the fall.
Yeah.
So you got into the program how many years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. That's when you got to learn about it. Yeah. So why is it we don't know anything about it? Why is that? Is that we just don't research enough, or we don't talk about it as parents? Do we keep it to ourselves, or like I just want my kid to be the one who's going to be, is that how it is, or what's going? Because I'm sure there are a lot of parents out there whose kids are going through, and they don't say anything. And they tell us my kid is going to this, and I'm like, what am I missing? How do they end up in these schools? And I'm like, what do you think? Why don't we know, or didn't I do enough research myself?
So I think they're both factors apply. One is, I think for me, I was very interested in looking for opportunities, and I was looking all around. I found a lot of programs, but a lot of them were just for the Boston area.
Understood.
I know Boston has a lot of programs, like STEP, a lot of busing programs, but you have to live in certain neighborhoods for you to qualify for those programs. So I kept looking for the programs, and I think the one thing is we are very complacent as a community in terms of I settle here, this is what I know.
Understood.
And this is where we are taking our kids. And I think the most that we do is take our kids to maybe a Catholic school. If you're not in public school, then you're looking for the nearest Catholic school.
I did charter school, and then my son actually, after charter school, I took him to a technical school. And it worked out well, but that's my vision ended there. And he's going to do his computer science, but the technical. But I just didn't have this. I didn't have this. So what are the basic demographics? Like, how old do you have to be, or do you have to live in a certain a zone? How does this work? What are the key things just to get started? Certain age, certain grade, blah blah blah. Or do your parents have to be making a certain amount of money? How does this work?
So ABC is a national program, so it's all over the U.S., and so they've divided it into different regions. So like for Massachusetts, we fall into the Northeast region.
Okay.
You qualify if you're from the 4th to the 9th grade. So you can apply if your child is in the 4th grade all the way up to the 9th grade.
Oh, wow.
And they will place you in, in the 2 grades above. So if you're in the 4th grade, you would be applying for the 6th grade.
Oh.
Just because it's a very vigorous application process. It takes about 18 months.
18 months?
Yes.
Wow.
18 months. And actually, so if I can just go back, the parent who told me about it, we met during our kids' 8th grade graduation, and she's like, I hear your daughter is going to that program. She told me about it. She never made it through with it. She told me I checked the application. It was too much, and I gave up. So a lot of people do give up along the way because it's not for the faint-hearted. The application is very, very, it's very long, it's very involving, it's very tedious. As a parent, you have to really, really be committed because it's just not a one, sit down 2 hours and you have your application out.
No.
It's 12 pages. There are essays involved. So there are essays that the parents are going to write. There are essays that the child is going to write. You have to have recommendation from your teachers. The child definitely must have some good grades. So what they really look for, I would say the 3 main qualifications to join the ABC program. One is definitely it's a minority program. Okay. I didn't mention that. It's a minority program. So you have to be a minority. And in that, you're either, African, Asian, Latino, biracial too, if you're biracial, so you qualify for the program. 2, the child must have some, some good grades. So you don't apply for it if your child is, getting D's. So you have to be in the A's and the B's. And then thirdly, you must get like a good recommendation from the school. So if your child has been going to the principal's office every so often, definitely they can get a good recommendation. So the child also has to be able to have a good recommendation. And they also have to have some leadership potential. Because the main goal for ABC is to create opportunities for students who are talented, who have leadership potential, so that they can increase the number of well-educated minority people who can take leadership positions in America. So what they are looking for is there are all these great schools out there. They have member schools. Which are looking for this talented minority kids to join their programs, to join their schools. And definitely what they do is they'll offer financial aid and make sure that, if this child has the potential, then they are going to make sure that they get into the school and that is taken care of.
Because, I mean, some of our school districts, and I was talking to this with teacher Anna Mon, I mean, some of our school districts, honestly, I mean, it's just, it's tough. It is tough, you know, coming from, be it the Central Mass or the South Shore or even Middlesex. I mean, it's a high school, but honestly, it's hard to compete for these kids and the kids who come from these more affluent, and I can call it that, affluent. You know, the teacher to student ratios are totally different and what have you. So this program, what I'm hearing from you is gives our kids coming from a lot of the demographics and communities that we live in a better chance to be able to compete and to be able to go toe to toe with those that have been, you know, given, you know, those privileges. And so, does it matter your social status? So, what if my kids goes to a public school? I chose to live where I live, but I make $150,000 a year. Would my kid be accorded that? On that, would that be an issue, for example, in a situation like that?
They would qualify. So in terms of income, I would say for a family that is making less than $250,000, then definitely you do qualify, and you stand a good chance of actually getting like very good financial aid if you're getting into like the independent schools. So I'll just backtrack just to give a little bit in terms of what a Better Chance offers. So a Better Chance has our member schools. It works with around 300 member schools across the U.S. This means that there are schools which are affiliated with a Better Chance, and they usually have opportunities set aside like for a Better Chance candidates. But definitely they have to qualify. And so once a child qualifies, these schools are either independent day schools, independent boarding schools, or what they call a community school program. So independent schools are private schools. And then the community school programs are public schools that are in the affluent neighborhoods. So these are schools which are in, you know, some of these places. I think in Massachusetts there's one in Wellesley and there's one in Andover. They are just two community school programs.
Think there's one also around the Lexington area, somewhere around that area off Route 2.
Wellesley is the one that is in Massachusetts. Yeah, and then there are various other ones all across the U.S. And so once you qualify for this, so if it's an independent school, then based on how much the school costs, then a Better Chance will help the family to, you know, apply for financial aid. I must put in there that a Better Chance does not offer scholarships. A Better Chance helps you with the application process. It helps you to advocate for your child. It helps you to get your child placed into a school. And so if you're earning anything, the family income is less than $250,000, then you do qualify and you do, you know, end up getting some good financial aid.
So like you said, there are two areas. You can go to a private school. For example, in Worcester, we have like a Worcester Academy, you know, top notch. I mean, the average is like $35,000-$40,000 just to go to Worcester Academy. $50,000 if you're living there. It's stupid. It's crazy. But there are other places where I have. I think it's a public school, but they have a home that's been set up for all the ADC. They come from all over the country. They could be from New York City, could be from here in Massachusetts, could be from Atlanta, Georgia. But they have a home that's set up close to the school. You know, so what's the difference of going to a Worcester Academy or going to something like that, or going to a day program versus going to a boarding? How does that work out?
So I'll actually just maybe just explain a little bit about how you get into the program and then how you get placed into the schools. So first, you go through the application process. Applications open on February 1st. So now...
just happened right now?
They just opened. So anyone who's watching, applications are now open. So February 1st, they're going to close on April 15th. And so definitely go to abetterchance.org and you'll see the application right there. And you can start it. You can always start and then continue at some point. But then up to April 15th, then you'll have to submit the application. After you apply, there's what they call a benchmark test that... once you put in your application, you're sent an email in regards to when you're going to sit a benchmark test. The benchmark test is an SSAT test, almost similar to the SAT that high schoolers sit for, but now this is for placing in independent schools, for middle schoolers and high schoolers. And so the SSAT benchmark test that you sit for is for them to assess the child, for them to accept them into the program first. So you're first accepted into the ABC cohort. So you sit for it in May, and then you get the results in June. That's when they're selected. They select whoever gets into the cohort.
Okay.
Then once you're selected into the cohort, they start preparing you for the main tests, which is in September. So in September, the child is going to take the SSAT or the ISEE, and these are exams that are required by independent schools. And based on how you rank on those tests, in October, they usually will ask the families, what are your preferred schools? You have the list of all the 300 schools. Wherever you want your child to attend, you select your schools. ABC will also help you select other schools based on your child's strengths, based on what they know about these schools. And I can tell you, like, there's if your child plays a sport, they might know this school somewhere which is looking for a very good soccer player. And so they'll tell you your child might better place here because they're looking for a soccer player. There's a school that's looking for someone who plays an instrument. So that's how you get placed into any of these schools. And then once you select the schools, then after that, you go in for interviews, and ABC will prepare the kids for the interviews. They will guide you as parents on what to apply, what to do, how to fill in your financial aid. The good thing about ABC is once you do the one application with ABC, they'll send it to all the schools. If you were doing it independently, you'd have to apply to each school, do an essay here, an essay here, an essay here. ABC takes that one application and sends it to 10 schools.
Okay.
And they also waive the application fee.
Wow.
So they get all that process in for you. Then you get to hear back in January. That's when the schools start doing their selections, and they are looking for the school, looking at the schools, advocating for the child, and then by March, decisions are out. And once you get the decision and you sign on the dotted line, you move from being a cohort member to being an ABC scholar.
Wow, cohort ABC scholar. Yeah. Wow, I see why there's a lot of drop-off. It's going to be commitments from a parent and both. This is consuming.
Yeah, and the other thing is, even for the child, so a lot of these schools, when they interview you, they're interviewing you and they're interviewing the child. And they want to know that the child really wants this. They're not being pushed by the parent to do it. They want to know that this is a child who is driven.
But Wanjiru, I'm in fifth grade. What does a child know in fifth grade?
They really need to have that potential in them.
Really?
Yes, they need to be able to sit in a room and speak for themselves and say why they want to be in this school, what they like about this school. So the last thing that I know you had asked about being in an independent school or being in our community school program is once you do all the applications, then you'll go for all these interviews. And so based on where you have interviewed, then there are acceptances. So the fact that you're an ABC cohort member doesn't guarantee you. You must earn it. You go to Milton Academy, you must interview, and they must select you, just the same way they're interviewing anyone else. So that's why they give you the 10 schools, because you will interview. Out of 10 schools, you might just get maybe 2, or you might just get 3.
Or none.
Or none. I know people who interviewed last year in like 7 schools and didn't get any. They were waitlisted, and then because of COVID, they didn't get into any. So it depends on how the child performs, and also what the family is looking for. For my case, our daughter goes to a community school program, the one that you actually talked about. And for us, we did not even fully know about it until we visited one. It was recommended. So ABC will usually just recommend and say, hey, just look at this. I know you've selected these schools. I think your daughter would fit in to such a program. Do you want to just go look at it and see what you think? And when we went and visited that, our daughter fell in love with the whole program. And 4 years later, we sit down and we're like, that was the best decision ever for our daughter, because it's just a great program. The community school program is a very, very supportive program. I would say right now, for her college application.
I want to hear this,
totally just used to go in for meetings because she has an academic advisor, she has a college counselor, she has someone she's working with on her essays. They're looking at the school. So we're just meeting to discuss, okay, we think these are your daughter's strengths. This is what we think the essay should be. As parents, just give your input. Then she's working with a professional, and all this is through that program. So it's very supportive in very many ways.
Are these advisors coming from the ADC chapter, or are they coming from the schools themselves? Where are these?
No, from the ABC. If you're in a community school program, that's why they call it community.
Yeah.
The community is the one that actually runs that program. It's actually run as a 503c. And so what happens is the community has the volunteers who come in to work with these students.
Understood.
So they'll have tutors, they will have host families, they will have the academic advisors. So each child is placed with an academic advisor, with a host family, they have like a resident director for the house. So it's just a whole supportive program. And then they work within the community in terms of even just building their skills. And that's the one thing we really liked about the program for our daughter, just because she's very outgoing. And so they're very much involved in the community, in all the activities that go on within the community.
Wow, yeah, and I know Melvin, little Melvin is in one of those programs, and he's grown now. And I see that. I mean, he's up at 9 o'clock at night on Zoom calls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're one-on-one, like you said. And do they even get for SATs? They get people, there's tutors to help them with the SATs and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. My goodness, this is amazing. This is amazing. Now, what determines these? What's for you from your daughter's perspective, and I'm sure you guys have that open line of communication. What does she talk about? How rigorous is it? How to acclimate, just to be involved before you really become part of it? How hard is it to acclimate in some of these programs? Coming from a South Shore school or coming from a Worcester or a Lowell, how hard is it for them to acclimate?
So the first thing that ABC does, and which I really liked, is once your child becomes a scholar, the minute you sign on the dotted lines, that is in March. So from March to September, when school starts, late August, they take these kids through some orientation program.
Okay.
And like for my daughter, they went for 4 days to New York. And when they go there, they're teaching these kids about how to go and assimilate into this different culture that they do not know about.
Wow.
One of the things they're teaching these kids first is, about the fact that you're not a minority. You're not to go there and change who you are. They want them to go there and, be authentic.
Don't lose your identity.
Don't lose it. Then they teach them some things which, as a Kenyan parent, I didn't know. They teach them about the microaggressions. They teach them about, you'll go to this school, some kids will be like, oh my goodness, what's your hair like? Do you change your hair every day? They talk about all these things because for our kids, especially if you've been in a school, where everyone almost, looks like you, at least you have a lot of kids who are like you. That's not different. So you go there and you find, I'm in this school and we're just like 10 of us.
Call it microaggressions. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I've learned a new term. I never knew it. All right, there we go.
I also didn't know it until my daughter just told me about it,
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so they teach them about all these things. And I think one of the things is just about being proud of who they are and the fact that they can compete with these children in these schools, very, very high-performing schools. But then the other thing that they instill in them is that, you know what, you have to go and you have to prove yourselves because at the end of the day, you don't want to go in there and then you're the one lagging behind. So what the program also does is they monitor these kids. Like I can tell you, my daughter checks her grades every day because she has to stay on top of her grades. Her academic advisor is staying on top of her grades. And so if any grade is dropping, they're meeting and they're saying, hey, we need a tutor for this class, or how do we work around this class? So the support around that is really great. And then when they go to the school, because they have that community, and whether the child is in a community school program where they go back home into their own home where they can discuss in the evening, or they are in a school which is an independent school, there's somebody who is assigned to these kids whereby, they'll check up on them. Are you making friends? How are you dealing with all these situations? There could be things that they might not afford in those schools. So if maybe there's a trip to China, if your family cannot afford, then they're saying, no, don't you worry. That will be taken care of so that you're not missing out on all these other things. So they'll just make sure that this child is able to have the full experience of that school.
My goodness. ADC family, pay attention to ABC. ADC, ABC, amazing. And it's right in our doorstep.
Yep.
And we don't take advantage of it. But what advice, I mean, because we're going to have a lot of viewers seeing that we have over 1,000 subscribers. Did I tell you we have over 1,000 subscribers?
Oh, wow.
Have you subscribed yourself?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I watch this show. I'm always recommending. I'm like, oh, yeah, you guys watch this.
Right, just checking.
Yeah.
Just checking. What advice would you give those 1,000 folks that are going to be hitting this weekend? What advice would you tell them? Because they'll be like, oh, my God, I want to check into it mentally. What advice would you give that parent who would like to approach this?
One of the things I'd just say is, you know what?
Yeah.
It is worth your time.
Okay.
ABC is worth your time. It might look like it's a lot, but definitely the gains at the end of the day outweigh all the effort and time that you're going to put into it. And one of the things that I'll say is right now we have a group of Kenyans in ABC because last year a very big group of Kenyan kids got into the ABC program. What I did is I just said, you know what, anywhere I go, any party I went to, the people I met, wherever I made sure I told them about it.
You're the Pied Piper. You're the Pied Piper. Yeah.
And it's very interesting because at one point there's somebody whose child got into ABC and they were overheard. They spoke with someone who knows me and they said, why is Wanjiru telling everybody about ABC? And so that's our community. So our community
that irks me.
And that's that's where I think you asked why didn't we know about it. One of the things is the people who knew about it did not want to talk about it because they wanted to keep it to themselves. But ABC is a bottomless pit. That's all I can tell you. The opportunities are so many. If all our kids applied, we still couldn't.
Seriously.
Finish those opportunities because it's all over the US. It's your kids can go to school to whichever state you want them to go. If you want them to go to California, there's an ABC school in California, and they can apply to that school there.
Let's talk about your daughter. What does the future hold for her from a college perspective? She's graduating this fall. Tell us what does it look for her? She's getting into. She actually got into Boston College, so she's going to be going into Boston College in the fall. Got into into which she actually got almost a full ride. Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Yes, and she wants to follow in the footsteps of Teacher Ann, so she wants to do education. She loves working with kids, and one of the things that I know is, ABC has just put that in her forefront where she is right now. She works in an after-school program. They support her in a lot of the activities that she does.
Wow.
I will credit a lot of this to her academic advisor. Her name is Jerry, really, really awesome lady.
Jerry.
Her college, the lady who worked with us for the college preparation, her name is Karen. And the husband, really, really awesome. But I can tell you, Natalie, our daughter's name is Natalie.
Yeah.
She actually wants to give back. She will speak to anybody who wants to know about A Better Chance. Actually, all the Kenyan kids who got into ABC last year, she created a group. She checks up on each one of them. There's some kids who are in Maine. There's some who are in, different parts of the U.S., Connecticut. So she checks up on all of them, checks how they're assimilating in their schools. Have you found friends? So she's managed to just keep in touch with them just to make sure that they are all doing well.
Amazing.
And she hopes to actually be one of like an alumni who just goes back and also just gives back.
Gives back. Amazing. You've raised her well. Congratulations. ADC, you heard it from right here. ABC, A Better Chance. It's all about the future. It's all about our kids. Let's pay attention. Let's pay attention. These benefits are right outside our doorstep. The thing is, we got to go and get it. And like you heard it from Wanjiru, it's a rigorous program. As a parent, you got to be ready for this. I've seen it up close and personal. Like I said, Melvin, his mom, Naomi, they did it, and they're doing amazing things. So great job and purpose. And I'm telling you this, I would like your daughter to be here when she's almost going to college. This summer, maybe. You can bring her as a guest and tell about her experience and urge other kids to do that. Our last time was Learn, Earn, Retire, College Preparedness. Make sure she watches that show.
I will.
It's amazing, how she's going to knock out those 4 years and make make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Wanjiru, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having
It was
me.
a pleasure. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
Guys, listen, full house here today, man. If you want to know about the ABC and the application process, we have provided a link in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Africa Diaspora Connects. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, you name it. We are everywhere. And also, podcast, listen to this. I'm telling you, you're working out in the gym, you're walking, you're doing whatever. Podcast, Podbean, you name it, Spotify. We are everywhere. I'm your host, Kibathi Gaturu, saying sayonara. It's been real. Yeah.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.